All right. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Headed Home podcast. We are your hosts, Andrew and Jen Gallegos. We are squeezing in a couple of episodes this week before setting sail on a voyage to the Mediterranean. We're going on a cruise in a couple days. We're taking the kids. I've never been to Europe. We're scared. I'm a little claustrophobic, so I'm a little nervous. I've never been on a cruise. I've never been to Europe, and I'm claustrophobic.
Okay, you should have told me that because our room is literally like the size of a closet, I'm pretty sure. So
I didn't want to break it to you. I think I'll be all right. I'll be out on the ship deck a lot.
Oh yeah, we gotta get packed and all that stuff.
Pumped for that. Also pumped for our guest today because we are joined by Kristine Nguyen. Kristine is recognized as one of the top 100 most influential agents in Colorado. She is a multiple 5-star award winner through 5280 magazine. She is the founder of Happy Homes by Brokers Guild Classic, located in Denver, Colorado, and has over 10 years of experience as a real estate agent. So thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to the podcast, Kristine.
Hi, thanks for having me. Happy Wednesday, Andrew and Jen. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, thanks for being on here with us.
For sure.
Now, have you ever been on a cruise? And if you haven't, would you go on one?
I have. I've been on a couple.
She's like
the Bahamas. At that time, I think we just chose for the shortest and the most economical, which was about 15 years ago. I am planning on going on another one at the end of the month. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be a longer cruise with a few friends. Yeah.
Where are you guys going?
We're going to go to the Bahamas too as well.
That's awesome. That's really great. I bet you're not going on a Disney cruise like we are.
No, not this time around.
Yeah, right. There will be some Disney extravaganzas happening with the kids. They're going to be pumped. But Kristine, we've known each other actually. Well, we've been connected for about 10 years. And I know I brought this up right before we started recording, but I don't know if you remember this, but the way that we had actually met initially was I had cold called you 10 years ago, right when I had gotten the mortgage business and you were in real estate. I had found you online. I had cold called you. I think you took my call. You let me give you a little bit of a sales pitch on what I thought I could do to help your buyers. But kind of funny. We stayed connected through social media since then. And it's been really cool just watching your journey as a real estate agent and making your way through, your career, and you're doing some really cool things. So glad we connected that way 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago. Wow, time flies. But just like Jen mentioned, you look quite different now, so you can't really blame me for not remembering too much of it.
Not at all.
What I said to Kristine is that she didn't remember because Andrew had more hair back then, and so he probably looks unrecognizable.
I think I got a better facial look going on here, though.
That is
I've
true.
got a little bit more of a beard, which is, I guess that's compensating for not having.
Why do sorry, this is totally unrelated, but why do bald men feel the need to like have a beard? Is it so like you have some sort of like hair?
It moves from the top to the bottom.
So weird. Anyway. Well, Kristine,
nice to connect with the both of you again. Thank you so much for having me on. I have looked into your, just like I've mentioned prior, on your Instagram, and I'm so impressed with your past and how you've gotten here and all that good stuff. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, we appreciate you being on. I would love to know, and we kind of touched on this before we started today, but I think it's really interesting how people choose to be in a particular profession. So how did you get started in real estate?
Well, I worked for corporate America after I graduated from college. I did it for a very short amount of time. It wasn't for me. It's something that's very redundant. A lot of people thrive on that, but for me, I got really bored with that. And at that time, a few of my friends and my dad too as well at that time encouraged me to try real estate and see what just what it's all about and all that good stuff. Hopefully to be able to serve the Vietnamese community too as well.
Mhm.
I let it just sit there for a few months or so, and then finally I made the jump. After I purchased my first home, didn't have the best of experience with that real estate agent at that time, and I just wanted to make a difference. I wanted to be able to just educate buyers and sellers. Hey, this is what you're getting into. This is the pros and the cons. I just felt that at that time I didn't get to have the full due diligence from the agent at that time. And I just wanted to get into it and just to see, hey, if this is something that I can maybe be a part of and be a contribution to the real estate industry. So I registered to Kaplan College for real estate classes in person. And yeah, that was it. Got into it, had my first deal, and that was like the end of it. I love it. I love just being able to help people. I feel just very honored to be a part of the purchase and also just the selling side of things too as well. It's a journey, to be able to be a part of that. It can be very emotional and all of that good stuff that comes with it. But just being able to be a part of the story with my clients. And I just enjoy it a lot. It's not redundant. It's every day is a little bit different. You meet different people. Um, you get to grow along with that too as well. Real estate is forever changing. When I first got into real estate, about 2008 or so, we went into the last recession, and that was interesting. I did a lot of short sales, a lot of HUD homes, foreclosures, and whatnot too as well. I learned a lot, required a lot of patience with short sales and whatnot. And real estate's forever changing. Since then, it's always been, something new. Our market right now is also shifting too as well. So I love the industry. I love what I do. I love to be able to help the community and just to be a part of it. I just feel very honored. And it's just a fun industry to be in. It's not redundant, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned just being a part of that journey and how it really is an emotional step when you're moving, and there's that financial investment to it as well, which I'm a part of, and that's a big deal. But we really are helping people in one of the most important steps in their life,
Right.
and that makes it really rewarding. But gosh, you're right. I mean, and that's cool. I didn't realize that you got in right around the time of I guess the crash or the recession in 2008, but what a different market that was.
Did you get in? Sure. Did you get in before it happened or like during? I'm just interested in.
A little bit before, Jen. A little bit before, I was able to see interest rate at that time, if I remember correctly, was in the 8% range. Yeah. But of course, house value at that time was much lower. It makes it very affordable at that time too as well, where I remember showing houses in Southwest Denver, and you can get a 2-3 bedroom home, 1 bath, no basement, for less than 100,000 or less than 150,000, and those were the times.
Insane. So if you because I think this is interesting, and I think this happens a lot in life where you decide to do something or make a change, which it sounds like you went into real estate, and then this crazy friggin' recession or housing crash comes. Mm-hmm. In your head, like, were you like, oh crap? Or was there a level of calm as you're kind of navigating this new career with the market crash? Like, what do you remember kind of like that process or your thoughts back then?
Yeah, at that time I was so new. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't know what to expect. I just kind of went with the flow. Mm-hmm. I just knew that it was like a changing market at that time, and I just went with it. Just took everything on and just learned the short sale procedures, the process, HUD homes and whatnot too as well. And I was with Remax at that time, and it's a great company and whatnot, but it was just something that I just kind of went with the flow. Just realized that it's just the real estate industry for it is what it is, and just took it on and just helped people as much as I can during that time. But yes, it was a very scary times. Get a lot of phone calls at that time from sellers in distress, like, hey, what do I do? I can't afford to make payments. But also during times of distress, there's a lot of opportunities too as well. And I was able to help a lot of investors at that time, to be able to pick up on investments and stuff. A lot of them still have those properties, but it's valued at much, much higher than that nowadays. But, just kind of went with it. Just went with it, took it on and learned as much as I can. And whatever I didn't know, I just, do whatever I had to do just to be able to get those information to help my clients with it. But it was a very trying times for a lot of sellers at that time. I remember.
Yeah. I think there's a lesson in that because, I feel like a lot of times people have these fears, right? Then valid fears about things that are going on in the world. And it almost just makes them like freeze, right? It's that like fight or flight mentality when something is scary. And so I think the reason I asked you that is I think it's really cool that it's almost like you were learning so many new things that you almost didn't know what to be like fearful of getting into a new career. And I remember you kind of saying that too.
Yeah, well, around that time in the lending industry, a lot of the older loan officers that had been in the industry for a long time, the vibe that I saw when I got in was like, how are we ever going to get anybody a loan again? We need the tax returns. And back then it wasn't as easy with the technology wasn't up to date. But there was a lot of just kind of fear around those changes. But like you, Kristine, like when I came in, I didn't know any better. So I was like, I'll just do what I can to help people and, put my process together to where I actually meet people and get their tax returns and walk them through the process. So like you mentioned, I think there was, and there always is, there's always opportunity after a big change like that. And we might be seeing a little bit of that in the market right now too, just with rates jumping up as high as they have over the past few months. It's the market, like as we speak, is changing. So maybe there'll be some opportunities there as well. But it's all about mindset.
I think how cool though, like, I mean, I think of the two of you or your careers, but how cool that you did something, where a lot of other people stopped doing something because of fear. And I think that
a lot of people got out of the business.
When you continue on and don't let that kind of like guide your decision making, I think it's really amazing, like how far you can go when you don't let that like overcome you,
Yes, exactly. I think that's a good point. And it goes for, Andrew too, as well. You've been through the ups and downs of real estate too, as well. I'm sure you have a lot of stories and, a lot of insights to share on that too, as well. But I, just try not to let fear dictate my life. I, at that time, was a single mom. So it's kind of like hey, are you going to swim or are you going to sink type of a situation. So I use my son as a motivation, just to keep on going.
How old is your son?
Brandon, he is 15 now. He just turned 15. So awesome. It's challenging being a single mom, but I'm very thankful for real estate because of my career, my clients. I've been able to be present for my son, drop him off from school, pick him up. But, if I can't, I have family like my sister-in-law, my brothers, my dad. They've been there for me. Without them, I wouldn't be here. But it's one of those situations where it's just like, am I going to let fear stop me from doing what I love to do? Or, or am I going to just go after it and just do the best that I can and just show up every day? And I chose to show up every day and just doing what I have to do to help my clients, and that's the core of it. It's just helping people. It's very, very simple in respect. It's just like that's always been my core. It's just like, okay, how do I bring value to a situation? If I don't bring value to a client, then maybe I'm not the best client agent for them. But it's just one of those situations where it's just like, yeah, it was very challenging for short sales. Sometimes you don't get a resolution, or client can't close on it until like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. So it is a game of patience and whatnot. But I just did the best that I can, and that's all I can do.
That's awesome. Are you kind of unrelated? Are you from Colorado?
I consider myself as a native. I've been here for over, 25 years.
Okay.
But I was born in Vietnam.
Awesome.
So after the Vietnam War, my family journey here, we're known as the boat people. My dad actually, um, him and a few of his friends, they put together a group, and we actually escaped Vietnam after the war for a chance of a better opportunity. And I was
Wow.
a little baby at that time, so I don't really remember all the stories and all the details, but I hear from my brothers about everything that happened, from my mom, from my dad, and it was definitely a journey. We risked everything, including our life, to be able to come to America for a better opportunity and, more freedom.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy. And how did your dad, how did they decide on Colorado? Was that something that was kind of decided beforehand, or was it when they came to the US that they decided on Colorado, or what did that look like?
So we were rescued at sea and we were brought to the Philippines. From there, we got sponsored to come to Colorado. I have an uncle here. So that's how we came about to choosing Colorado, as our sponsor was here.
That is a
Wow.
you got rescued at sea?
Yes, we did. We did.
That
And
is insane.
it is. And I wish I can tell you, I can remember all the stories and whatnot, but it's everything happens as it should. If we were not rescued the day that we were saved, we would have probably perished that night because there was a big storm. And our boat that was docked, actually, the morning after, my dad said when he came out, he said the boat was pretty much all in pieces. So we were very blessed. Somebody was looking out for all of us, and nobody passed away. We hear a lot of stories about people dying at sea due to starvation, due to dehydration, or just being just pirates and all of that stuff too as well, which is very scary. Our group of people were very fortunate. Nobody passed away. Nothing bad happened. So that's a very good thing. And we got rescued at the perfect time.
Wow.
Wow.
What a great story of perseverance and resilience from your family. I mean, to be able to go through all of that and be here and be talking to you is really cool.
Yeah, and I have my parents to thank for that. They took a chance. It's just like, do we stay in Vietnam after the communists took over? Or do we risk losing everything to come to America? And they thought of me and my brothers and I, about our future education. And so my dad made the decision, let's go ahead and just chance it and come to America for a better life and a better opportunity. And I'm very grateful for that.
That's
Everything in terms of my core, it's all been passed down by my parents. And it's just like we came to America with nothing. So it's just like, if you start with nothing, you just got to give it your all and see what it becomes.
Do you think that just even hearing those stories about their perseverance and that mentality, do you think that's something that you carry with you? And is that part of what drives you, just as in your career and just outside of your career as well?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I feel
Okay.
like every day is an opportunity. And my mindset too, obviously, as you get older, it changes and it matures and whatnot too as well. But it just boils down to just, appreciating what you have. It all comes to gratitude. I'm grateful for my parents to be able to risk everything. They lost everything back in Vietnam to be able to come here so my brothers and I can have a better life, and we're very grateful for that. I'm sorry, 1 second. My
No, take your
fur
time.
baby is
You're good.
We can edit this too.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, you're totally fine.
Yeah, but
Just hold on real quick, and then the sound was kind of cutting out just a little bit. I don't know if is your mic on your shirt or is it or where? I just want to make sure it's clear most of the time, but there was like a couple instances where it just kind of. I figured if we can edit this little part out, then just make sure that the mic is clear.
No, I'm not wearing a mic right now.
Okay, right on. I was thinking maybe it was your hair or something, but
back to the hair.
back to talking about hair. No, I'll cut if it cuts out, we'll stop it again. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
But going back to the core of it all, my parents came to America. They didn't speak a single word of English.
Wow.
My dad, he worked as a dishwasher at a restaurant in downtown. He had to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning to take the bus to downtown. So he'll do that 2 times a day, started saving up, and they were able to start their own business. We had a small grocery store in Commerce City a few years after. And, I see how my parents run their business, and I learned a lot from that in terms of how you treat people, and it all boils down to, hey, it doesn't matter if it's somebody there coming to fix the broken refrigerator, if it's somebody in management. My mom and dad treated everybody the same, with the same level of respect. It's like, hey, how's your day? Can I grab you something to drink? Or whatever it is, it's just them being able to just see people for who they are, not for their position that they hold in life or whatever it is, or the car that they drive, the house that they live in. So with just seeing that growing up and being in that environment, I've been able to just incorporate that in my business too as well. So it doesn't matter if you're a buyer that's buying a higher end home or a buyer that is, purchasing the first home. I like to just, treat everybody the same with the same level of respect because that's what I was taught. So I have a lot to thank to my parents for that. They've instilled that quality through us, and it's just been something that has been amazing in my career, and just friendships too as well in terms of how who I choose to be my friends and all of that good stuff too as well. So it's something that carries through in my personal and professional life.
I like that. I love that philosophy. Just treating everyone. With I love that word respect. Treating everyone with respect and just trying to help and bring value to your people. Just helps repeat clients and, helps build your sphere the right way. So it sounds like you've done a good job of that.
I think when you connect with people on like a human level and you see the humanness in them, like that goes further than anything that you can ever do with your business. Like just like loving and caring about people really is like the secret, which it's not a secret. It should be like common sense, but really like just caring about people and making sure that you're connecting with them on a human level is ultimately the most important thing that anyone can do in their business.
Yes, and I enjoy that level of it the most. It's the human connection. It's knowing that, everybody has a story, and it's just, I'm grateful to be a part of it. And, it's just a very, it's a career that I would love to be able to do and continue to do until the day I retire. So hopefully the real estate industry will continue to welcome me. So I'm very grateful for that.
Well, tell us this. What is the biggest win, or I guess something that you're the most proud of in your career?
In my career, this is more of a personal, professional accomplishment that I did on my own. Just a few months ago, I did a flip on my own in Lakewood.
Ooh.
So that was, I've done a few before, but this one was probably the biggest project that I took on my own. And yeah, just being able to see everything from start to finish, going through all the ups and downs with contractors, with, there's hiccups, is to be expected, and just being able to see the complete product and being able to close on it and have a family, a very sweet family, first time home buyer move in with their son. That was very satisfying. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. And in terms of the other professional aspect of things, I don't have one specifically. I just think that it just all boils down to being able to be a part of the buy and sell process. And I'll be honest with you, when real estate was very competitive a few months ago, I was a little bit burned out. I was very, very burned out. Just because it's just like you're competing with 20, 30 offers, whatnot too as well.
Yeah.
And and Andrew, I'm sure you've seen it too as well, where it's just like buyers are paying 70,000, 80,000, 100,000 over asking. And when you're seeing that, especially when you've seen the industry where it wasn't like that before. And to be able, for a client to ask you, is like, hey, Kristine, is this house worth it? It's just something that you just can't look somebody in the eyes and say, yes, it is, So I just share my experience, let them see the comps and stuff like that, and let them make the decision. But I think just being able to be a part of that journey through the ups and downs of real estate, and just to be able to advise people on the pros and the cons and let them make the decision. But I don't have one specific big win in my professional career. It's just being able to, I think, having relationships with my clients, the long term of it, where a buyer and a seller client comes to me as a client, but then they become a friend at the end of the day. So just being able to form that relationship, that bond, I think is priceless.
Yeah,
and I enjoy that.
absolutely. What about failure? Is there something that stands out as, just a failure in your career? We talk a lot on this podcast about just failure being part of life, and you're going to face it a lot, just on a day-to-day basis, and kind of overcoming that. Is there anything that stands out to you, and what lessons you might have learned from it?
Yes. Again, it goes back to a few months ago when I was very burned out from the busyness and the chaoticness of real estate. I mean, I was able to still get properties under contract and stuff like that, but I just did not enjoy real estate as much, where it was just like, it wasn't fun anymore, you know? Um, and so I had to go within a lot during that time just to remind myself, like, hey, Kristine, why did you get into real estate? And it was because I enjoy the relationship with people. I enjoy hearing everybody's story and just being a part of that. I love real estate. Real estate is forever changing. I had to recenter myself at that time and, just bring everything back to my core. And it reminded me of why I went into real estate to begin with. But I think just that part of it, just being able to like put things into perspective again and not letting the market dictate how fast I go or whatever pace I have to be at. So just resetting that and just restructuring that again, instead of letting the busyness and the hustle and all of that being the reason of why I got into real estate to begin with. So it was challenging at that time. I don't know if you were how you felt at that time, Andrew. I know you were very busy with
I
refi.
can explain how he felt. He was like,
It was very frustrating, for
Mhm.
buyers. And I know wasn't able to deal with it so much on with sellers. Like from a real estate agent standpoint, it's hard too when you have 30 buyers at you, coming at you too with, great offers and people that really love the house and they really want to be in the house. I'm sure that was a difficult situation being, a listing agent there. But for buyers, it was tough. Same thing, asking, hey, do I really have to, offer $100,000 over the list price? And I really have to, bridge this appraisal gap, and we're waiving deadlines and we're closing in 2 weeks. And it was pretty crazy. And yeah, a lot of it does just come back to you trying to recenter yourself and know your why and understand your motivation. And for me, that's a day-to-day thing where I have to make sure I'm understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm putting the work in, and, kind of outlining my priorities. Did you, when you said you had to kind of go within and recenter, was there something specific that you did, or were there specific practices that you did that helped with that?
Yes, it goes back to my faith. It just goes back to my faith. Every time I go through challenges in life, I have a prayer closet that I go into, and I pray to my God, and just ask for guidance and peace and whatnot. Um, this year has been a very successful year. So in terms of production, I did fine, but I think it's just not being able to find joy in it anymore and just letting the pace of the market dictate how fast I go and stuff like that, which I did not like. So it was just, going into the prayer closet and just, being quiet and just having serenity, even sometimes just not praying or anything like that, just being still.
Yeah.
And yeah, my faith, I would say, is the reason why I'm here today in terms of my perspective and outlook and everything. It all boils down to, of course, how I was raised, and also just, finding my faith a few years ago. So that's what's helping to keep me balanced. I always go back to that. And I always find that when you just go through life with gratitude, that's where I find the most peace. Um, so it's just, whatever situation that I go through, whether it's through work, through personal life, I always ask myself, hey, Kristine, does this bring you peace? If the answer is yes, then I always move forward with that. But it was fun. It was a really fun real estate market at that time too, as well. When you're showing a property and there's a line of agents and buyers waiting to get in. If you don't schedule the showing fast enough, you can't secure a spot for your buyer. It was a time in real estate where I haven't seen prior. So it was, real estate is forever changing, and I love that aspect of it. But whether if it's fast paced or if the market is shifting or whatever it may be, I just, at the end of the day, I don't want to let that dictate the pace that I go, So that's what it all boils down to. I think all of us just have that balance where, real estate is so flexible. It's amazing in terms of, the opportunities and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's just finding that balance of the gratitude that goes along with that.
I think one thing that's interesting, and one thing I think we have learned in our jobs, just having our jobs be crazy, is when you are in the middle of like a difficult time, or and I don't know if you know this or not, but I had some pretty crazy health stuff go on a few years ago, and Andrew and I really talked a lot about like, how can you be the calm in the storm, right? Like you have to, because the storm is going to happen, right? Like it's not, you can't choose what storm is coming your way necessarily. But I think one thing that you mentioned, which I think is really important, whether it's in a profession or outside, is making sure that you find those intentional activities that give you some peace, right? Like sitting in a quiet place, like finding that time to find peace, whether it's like walking outside or whatever, to ground yourself. And, you know, the other thing that you mentioned that I think is really important, and Simon Sinek actually talked a lot about this. He's what books did he read? Right.
Leaders,
Start with Why.
Yeah, Start with Why. Leaders Eat Last.
Yeah. But he, during COVID, talked a lot about like anchoring yourself. Your values are your foundation. When when there's a storm going on around you, that like your values are really your anchor. And I think that's really cool that you grounded yourself in that, because you really learn, like when you're going through a tough time, that you can go through a ridiculous amount of hardships if you are anchored in your values. And like, why am I going through this? Like if you have a good awareness and understanding of that and really believe it, I think it feels better, right? Is there a book or two, or an author or someone that has been influential in your life?
Yes, I have been listening to Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now.
Love that.
Yeah, I love what that stands for, just being present, That's all we have full control of, is just the here and the now. The past, the future, the past already happened. The future knows what's to come. So just being able to remind myself of that, to be present, I think that's a very good thing. And I love his teaching. I love what he stands for. And I listen to probably a little bit of it every morning or so, just to get my mindset.
That's awesome. That's funny you said that. My intentional phrase for the year is be present, because I have not been that for the last couple of years. And so that's really funny that you said that. But that has been something, especially with my kids, is really making sure that I am, and it's hard, right? Like it's hard when you have a million things going on, but I think that's something that's really, really important, because you don't get time back. You don't get moments back. And so, giving whatever you have of yourself in that moment is the most powerful thing that you can do.
Exactly. What made you realize, Jen, the last few years, where you're like, hey, you have to be more present? Was there a situation that stood out?
Yeah, so when so my kids are 5 and 7, and when my son was born, right after my son was born, I had to have a few brain and spine surgeries across the country. And so most of their childhood, the first 3 years of my son's life, and my daughter was 2, 3, 4, I was really sick. And so poor Andrew over here had to do all, everything. And so for me, I jumped from this time in my life where I was really sick, and I frankly didn't enjoy my kids' lives because I was too sick to care. And then I went into this job, which was a dream job for me. Like I always wanted to do the job that I was doing, but it was significantly taking away time from my family. And so I went from this place of hey, I feel better. I've always been in this job that I wanted, and realized I do not like the way my life looks right now. If I'm being really intentional about my life with my values, it's not lining up. This isn't lining up, because I value time with my family more than anything else. So for me, quitting last year and shifting to doing more of the stuff on my own gave me and afforded me an opportunity to be with my kids more and be with Andrew more. And so what I kept thinking about is don't waste that. If you made a decision based on your values to spend more time with your family, then you have to be there. And so for me, that just having that in the back of my mind every day has been, and it's not easy, and I mess it up all the time, right? But I think for me, like, just again, going back to gratitude, like, I'm really grateful for this time. And I want to make sure that I make the best of it.
Wow. Very inspirational. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw on your Instagram page that you had brain surgery, so I can only imagine um, everything that you've gone through during that time. Was it one or two young kids too as well?
Yeah. So Michael was 1 month old for the first one. And then Ava was one.
I think she was one,
Yeah.
almost two.
It was
So
awful.
yeah, they were pretty young. It was pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I mean, Andrew was pretty much a single parent. I couldn't do anything. I was pretty much bedridden and like you had mentioned, we have been blessed with a really wonderful family. And that, I think when you're going through the worst moments of your life, like when you can't make a decision about what you need, like having those people is just invaluable, you know? And I also think, I mean, having I think of all the things that Andrew did, and it's just like, oh my God, like, thank you. You're gonna have to do it again when I'm older, probably.
Well, you would, that's just what you do. And you would have done the same for me. But it does, it takes work, and like all that stuff is connected, like the gratitude, having gratitude in situations like that was huge. Okay, what can I see in this situation that that I can be thankful for, just to kind of keep yourself from getting completely emotionally hijacked and, down a road that you don't want, that you're not helpful, and that you're not able to actually make the positive impact that you want to make. So,
yeah.
Well, kudos to you
Good
both. Kudos to you both, Andrew, Jen. That's an amazing story. Amazing story of, and like Andrew, what? I'm just curious because
sorry.
This conversation, just curious as to how you were able to balance everything while you're taking care of Jen, your kids, and your career too as well at that time, right?
Yeah. It was a lot for sure. Team was big. I was lucky enough to have a good team around me. And then, just routine for me really helped. Like just getting up earlier, kind of moving some things around so that I could work when the kids were sleeping. Routine, I would say, if I had to put one, obviously a lot went into it, but routine was really big for me. When things get really crazy earlier this year in real estate, or going through all that stuff with Jen and the kids, it was just, how can I look at my day and structure it in a way that I'm still going to be able to like achieve everything that I want to achieve. And so having an awareness of my habits and my routine, that was the start. And then, just intentionally building out my day and then restructuring that as situations in life changed was really helpful for me.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, we were pretty regimented, I think. And, maybe you can kind of touch on this, but one of the things that we've really recognized is like habits. I think setting up really positive habits in your life so that when things go awry, like you have those to fall back on. Have there been any like habits or routines that you have built either in your personal life or your professional life that have been helpful to kind of, I know you mentioned getting that time to yourself for quiet and prayer, but are there any other things that have been helpful to you?
Just I find that when I have time to, whether if it's going on a walk, whether if it's having coffee with a good friend, or going to the gym, whatever it may be, just that time, whether if it's like 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it may be, it's what's giving me the balance to be able to do what I do. But yes, I completely agree. Just being able to establish the habit of being able to center yourself, whether if it's through mindfulness, meditation, prayers, exercising, time with friends or family. I find a little bit of everything helps tremendously. And yeah, for sure. It's just being able to establish the consistent habit. Life has been a little bit chaotic because we just moved and just trying to get settled in the new place. But, just having a time that I wake up every day, taking my son to school when school is in, and then just having a set schedule, a few hours in the morning, whether that is, through prayers. And then after that, where I feel like, okay, we're good, I get ready for the day. And then I spend a few hours with real estate in the morning. And then I have a certain set schedule for showings and all of that good stuff too as well. But of course, sometimes, you can't really dictate that a showing is going to happen at a certain time or day. So you just got to be flexible with that and just pivot and just go with it at times too as well. But yeah, just having those healthy habits and just being able to have a set schedule when things get chaotic, it does make a world of a difference.
So true. And having, I think that like one thing that's been life-changing for us, I feel like, especially if you have kids, like getting that time in the morning. We get up pretty early and do meditation and working out and reading and stuff. But I think like just knowing that no matter what thing can happen in your day, that you are going to have time in the morning to like, just to you, that no one else can get to, like I feel like such a loser now because I can't stay up past like 8:30. Like it's so bad. But for me, I'm not willing to sacrifice that morning to myself anymore. And so that means for me, like getting to bed so that I can have that time in the morning. And I think when you have that time, like you said, it just shifts the way you look at your day. And that can be really beneficial if you're walking into a lot of yucky stuff.
Well said. Yeah, I completely agree. How old are your kids now again?
5 and almost 6 and then 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're getting to my daughter's 7 going on 17. She's like in the little sassy age where she thinks she's a teenager. So that's going to be fun.
Yes. Well, I don't have a girl, so I don't know what that's like, but I hear it's quite a funny age around that time.
Well, if she has any of you or me in it, it's going to be payback. So there you go.
We'll see how it goes. I'm sure having a 15-year-old comes with its own challenges too, right?
Yes, for sure. For sure. It's been challenging, but
Andrew got that one.
Hi.
Oh.
Who's this?
This is Zoe. She is a Sharanian. And she's just the cutest little thing. She's what you would imagine a teddy bear to be like if it was a live teddy bear. She's very cute and just very easygoing.
Oh my God.
But yes, having a 15-year-old son is very challenging.
Yeah.
I'm learning. He's my only child, so he's. It's an age where you want to give them the space that they need to be able to make the right choices and the right decision when you're not there, when he's in school and whatnot too as well. But also, just with technology and everything that's out there, you kind of have to be cautious of, what he's doing on his phone and whatnot too as well. But my heart goes out to all the kids, especially post-pandemic, with everything that's going on right now with, schools, with all the changes. Are we going to do in person? Are we going to do in school? And not to mention everything else that's going on in America right now. It's a trying time, but it comes back to the foundation. I just hope that as a single mom, I was able to instill the values in him that, when life does get difficult, that he can always go back to that as his center. But it is different where we're trying to figure all that out too as well. We're giving him his space.
Well, take good notes for us, please, and let us know.
We'll need all the help we can get.
Great. You're doing great right now.
Yeah, we're trying. So, you mentioned having the time in the morning, doing some proactive things for real estate, maybe setting up showings. Um, Real estate, and also like you mentioned, there is some reactivity that's going to happen, and you have to pivot and be flexible for that. Do you feel like are you systematic in your approach with helping buyers and sellers? Like, do you have a process? Do you set expectations? And do you follow that process every time? Like, speak a little bit about that, because from loan officers and talking to a lot of real estate agents too, um, there's certain clients that might push those boundaries. So how do you handle someone in that situations? And are you very systematic in your approach?
Quite honestly, I am not. Every client is a little bit different. So, I just try to get to know the client, just to see what their needs are, what their wants are. If it's a client that's unrealistic, I find that maybe I'm not the best agent for them. And, I wish them well and whatnot. But I just meet with them. I talk with my buyers, my sellers, just to see if we're a good fit. And then, it's just a matter of, I think, asking some of the questions just to see, hey, where they're at, if I can help them, and just going from there. But I don't have a set system per se. It was just a matter of, um, maybe meeting over coffee or a phone call or Zoom call, whatever it may be, getting to know the person and just seeing how I can best help and bring value into the situation. So I don't have a set protocol per se. I mean, there are certain set standards in terms of paperwork and whatnot too, as well as that. You can't really go around, but it's just, in terms of like communication, how you talk to, I think, um, buyers and sellers, I think is very critical because not
Yeah.
everybody speaks the same language or understand the
Yeah.
same, right? So everything is a little bit different. Just being able to tailor the conversation as needed and seeing what works for that specific client. Some clients are more practical, some clients are more emotional, whatever it may be. It's just
Kind of meeting them where they're at.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, which I think speaks back to what you said, which is really like humanizing the process for people and getting to know like what support they need from you, because everyone's going to need a varying level of support, or a varying level of need from the process, which I think is really important to kind of keep in mind. So,
Yeah.
well, I have to kind of close, I have a surprise question for you. So,
Oh, okay.
woo! Just kidding. It's not that crazy. Okay. So if you could live anywhere in the world, like forget the details of getting there and all that stuff. If you could literally live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Anywhere in the world, huh?
Anywhere.
Anywhere. Ooh, I have a few places that comes to mind, but I think it'll be Vietnam, Jen and Andrew.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Tell
because,
me, tell
well,
me, tell me why.
I was born there, but I really never, I've been back there a few times to visit, but I don't think I've ever had a chance to fully experience that.
Yeah.
And the times that I was there, I enjoy it so much. Vietnamese people were so friendly and so welcoming. It's the weather there is nice. I mean, granted, it can get very humid and very hot. The cost of living there is amazing, and just being able to be back to that, I think it'll be fun to be able to experience Vietnam for what it is for about a year or two, whatever it may be. But I think that would be very interesting to be able to just live there and be a part of the culture, get to know the people, the food, just everything about it. I think that would be something that I would love to be able to do when an opportunity arises.
I love that.
Good,
That's
good
really
answer.
cool.
I like that.
Well, where can people find you?
They can find me on my Instagram. It's this is Kristine Nguyen on Instagram, so I'll be there.
Okay.
Well,
Awesome.
connect with Kristine. She puts out some great content, and we really appreciate you taking the time and talking with us today. And it was nice picking your brain. And thanks for being on our podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and happy Wednesday, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kristine.